Now that we've talked about what paragraph and character styles are, let's get in InDesign and apply some of these things and see how powerful they are. So in OneDrive, in the demo files folder, there should be a file called directory demo-raw. So download a copy of that to your computer, and that's what we're going to work with, just so we're all working with the same raw text. So I'm going to open that up in InDesign. And we see here I've got a list of the art faculty contact information. And it needs to be formatted. So right now, if I click off this and I tap the W key, or if I click down here and switch between my normal and my preview view, I can't really make sense of this. I don't know where one listing starts and one listing ends. It really needs a lot of typographic help. So, first of all, right now I have my invisible characters shown, and you can turn those on and off by pressing Option Command I. So I'm going to zoom in by pressing Command plus. So hidden characters will show me things like spaces and ends of paragraphs. So we need to remember that to InDesign, anything in between two returns is a paragraph. So in this case, it's 2 words or 2 degree titles or just a name. Each one of these lines is a paragraph according to InDesign. So we need to keep that in mind since we're working on paragraph styles. So you can hide and show these invisible characters by pressing Option Command I, or in your type menu, way at the bottom, there's Show Hidden Characters. So if something isn't behaving right, sometimes if you copy and paste text somewhere, it'll come in with a line break that's not a full return, and that might be the culprit. So you can always use Option Command I or type and hide or show hidden characters to help with that. Okay, so there are 2 ways to go about setting styles. You can style the text first and then just sort of pick up those styles and save them and then apply them elsewhere. Or you can sort of design your styles in the paragraph styles window. Because we're starting out, I'm just going to show you that first way because it'll make a lot more sense. All right. So I'm only going to focus on Tina's listing here. So to make sure that we can get documents that all look similar, I'm not going to change the font. You know I'm not a fan of Minion Pro, but we're going to stick with it for the sake of all having files that look alike. So I'm going to start by changing my style here. And I'm looking for just my normal bold. And it may take some scrolling. Oh, there it was. All right. And these I'm going to go with italic. And I'm also going to make the email address bold. My thinking being name and email are probably the ones that people are most often looking for if they are looking at directory information. I also know that I'm going to need some space here so it doesn't go right into Jane's. I see I've actually got an accidental spare pasted line there. So you can delete Jane Fozzy's second email. So I'm going to go to my paragraph panel, and it should be over here. If you have a really small screen, things may not always show up. If you're missing your paragraph panel, you can always find it in the window panel, and then go down to type in tables and then choose paragraph. So when you do that, you get the little pop-out window. Either one is fine for this case. So in here, I'm going to add my space after. And I just need a little bit because the type size isn't that large. And then I'm going to select all of these lines by just clicking and dragging straight down. And I'm going to drop my leading down to, I think 13 will be okay. So I'll click off of that. I'm going to press escape so that I get out of actively editing type. And then I'll press W key to get my preview screen back. So looking at this, I'm also going to make this line a bit smaller. So I'll drop the type size 2 and the leading 2 as well, because we want that to sort of be like an add-on to someone's name. Okay, so I think I'm about ready to go. I don't know if I would normally do this in practice, but I'm going to select the name and make it 2 points bigger, just so that we have a little bit better view of what's actually happening as we apply these styles. So these 3 lines are fine for now. We may come back and do something with them later. So now I have one entry styled, and I'm ready to pick that up into paragraph styles. So first I need to go find that panel. So I'm going to go to Window, Styles, and then I'm going to choose Paragraph Styles. So usually this will come attached to character styles, and one of the biggest mistakes I see people do is they end up doing everything in character styles just because that tab happened to come up on top. So remember, character styles are only exceptions. So we're going to first work in paragraph styles. So right now there's this basic paragraph that's really just, Minion Pro regular 12 with the auto leading and auto everything else and nothing special. So we need to start making our own. So first we need to make sure that your cursor is somewhere in this line. You don't have to highlight it, just make sure your cursor is in it. In our paragraph styles palette, as with all Adobe software, the icon with the little page flip on the lower left corner means new, so I'm going to click that. And I see this paragraph style 1 has come up, so I'm going to double click that. And this is our paragraph style options window. So the first thing I need to do is name it appropriately. You'll run into a lot of problems if everything is paragraph style 1, paragraph style 2, paragraph style 3. You're not going to remember what's what. So be nice to yourself and name it appropriately. So I'm going to call this one name because all of the people's names I want to look the same. So I'm going to click on basic character formats, and I can see that it's picked up that 14-point size, a 13-point leading, and it's made the font and style what I've chosen as well. So essentially, if you've ever used an eyedropper to pick up a style or a color or anything in any of the programs, this is kind of doing the same thing. We've made some design choices, and now this paragraph style is kind of absorbing it. So we'll look at a few of these other things later. Right now, let's go back to General, and I'm going to click in the shortcut box. So this step is only for people who have a full keyboard. A full keyboard is like the ones we have in the labs at school. It's got sort of the calculator type layout that's over on the right end of the keyboard. If you have a laptop or some other condensed keyboard that doesn't have that, you can skip this part because unfortunately it doesn't work and there is not a great workaround for it. So I'll be sure to take that into account when we talk about applying these. If you have a full keyboard, you can press the Command key and then the 1, but don't use the one on the top row, use the one that's over in the calculatory area by your right hand. So Command 1. And I'll click OK. And now if I move my document up, I should be able to click in Jane's name, and I can click my name paragraph style, and it's automatically formatted. So I could click in David Wells' name, and I could, on my full keyboard, press Command and then the 1 that's by my right hand, and his name gets formatted as well. So, magic, right? So let's do this process again. So I'm going to click in the degree line that I have already formatted. In order to skip a couple of clicks, I'm going to press my Option key. So I'm going to hold Option while I click on New, and it's going to take me right into the new paragraph style box. So I'm going to call this one Degree. And if you have the full keyboard, we can do Command 2. And we'll say OK. So I could test that here. I'll click in Jane's degree area, click that style, and it's formatted. So now we're starting to see things move a bit more because the leading and size is different. I can click in David's and press Command 2. And there I've got that one formatted. And next I want to do these 3 lines. So we didn't do anything to these, but who's to say we won't need to in the future? So I'm going to address this because in a document like this with a ton of text, pretty much all text should be on a paragraph style. So I'm going to click here and just sort of drag down so I kind of hit every line. Every single character doesn't have to be highlighted. I just need to hit each of these 3 because remember these are 3 separate paragraphs and I want to format them at once. So I'll come to my paragraph style. So you can click this and then double click where it says paragraph style 1. I'm going to do the Option click shortcut. And I'm just going to call this information. And if you have a full keyboard, I'm going to make this Command 3. And we'll say OK. And then let's do the email, and then we'll apply these throughout. So same process, you can Option click here. I'll do it the long way again, just to make sure everybody realizes both ways work. So I'll click here and immediately double click where it says paragraph style 1. I'm going to name this email. And if you have the full keyboard, I'll do the Command 4 and OK. So now I can come down here. So I'm going to hit these 3 lines and apply information. And I'll do this one and email. So you see how David Wells' name got pushed down because remember we added a space after on this email. And those things are always saved in paragraph styles. All right, so we will keep going down here. So these are info lines. So I'm going to highlight those, click information or press Command 3, click in the email, and click email or press Command 4. And now we get to ones that we haven't done yet. So the quickest way with a full keyboard, you can see here. So I'm going to start by clicking in the first line so I can press Command 1, down arrow, Command 2, down arrow. I'll hold the Shift key to start a selection and tap the down arrow twice to get those paragraphs, Command 3, and down into the email, Command 4. If you see this, it's an InDesign bug, and you can see that it resolves itself. If it happens to hang, just like zoom out and zoom in again, and it should clear itself up. So you can see how quickly we can get some text formatting done here. Oops, Command 3. And it seems that there isn't a consistent amount of time or situation where this screen bug happens. but it has been happening for a couple of versions. So I can't promise that it's going to be any more or less for you. It kind of is what it is. And dear Adobe, maybe you'll fix this someday. All right, so your assignment to finish this demo is to go through and format all the rest of the text. For the sake of this video, I'm going to stop doing that right now, but the demo file that you turn in has to be completely all formatted. So one of the things that we changed, and I spotted a mistake here. One of the things that we decided to do is that we did format these three things with the paragraph style. So the great thing about having things on a style is that you can change all of them at once. So I'm going to do something nutty just to make it obvious. So I'm going to edit my information style, and I'm going to go into character color, and I'm going to make it the screamy cyan. And if I click the preview button, everything that I've highlighted, everything that I program with that information style, and I obviously missed this one, is going to be cyan. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to grab this one that I missed when I initially made that style. And now all these down here, they're all cyan blue. So I'm going to do something less ridiculous. So I'm going to go back in there, double clicking on the information style, go to character color. I'll switch them back to black, but make it maybe a 85% tint. And then I'm going to go up to my basic character formats. And I'll bump them down 2 points each in size and leading. And again, with the preview box checked, you can kind of see what's happening. So I'll say OK to that. And I've told you already before that I don't want to see anyone using 2 returns to separate text. So this is one key reason why. So let's say after this goes through some revisions and we get feedback, we decide that this space doesn't really work anymore. So I'm going to go into my email style, so I'll just double click it. In my basic character formats, I'm going to do the same thing I just did with info, in that I'm going to make the size and the leading 2 points smaller each. So now that I've done that, this space may appear a little bit too big, but because it's attached to the style, I can just go to indents and spacing, and I can decrease my space after. It seems a little too small, so I'm going to try 0.08. And if you press your tab key, it'll bump to a next box and the preview will update. I'll say I like that, and you can see all the other ones have changed as well. So I'm going to say OK on that. And now all these have this exact same spacing. So for your demo, go ahead and finish this out. It doesn't have to look exactly like this, but just something close. Make sure you don't have any double returns. And make sure that all of your type is on a paragraph style. You can easily check it by just clicking in each line. So I see I've got one here that the degree didn't take, so I'll click degree, and everything else looks good. So it should always be in a paragraph style. So have at it. Let me know if you have any questions. And when you're done, you'll have a lovely, easy to read directory, easy for someone to find names, information, all in nicely styled typography.